The clock starts when the round hits. Dirt lifts, sound compresses, and then the world returns in shards. A rifleman is down, thigh torn open and pumping bright blood. The medic moves before the echo fades, low and fast, counting breaths as he slides. 35 to 40 minutes. That is what the body can give before blood loss and cold make the decisions for you. He lands beside the casualty, checks the scene, then the man. Airway first. No gurgle, no teeth in the throat, no sand caked over the tongue. A palm under the jaw, a tilt, 2 quick breaths observed not given, chest rising on its own. Breathing, yes. Bleeding, no doubt. The red is arterial, crisp and high. Tourniquet now. Strap high and tight above the wound. Twist until the red becomes dark ooze. Time noted on a sleeve in grease pencil. Fingers test a pulse beyond the strap. There is none. Good. The clock buys a minute back. Pressure dressing on the wound. Gauze packed deep. Hands steady though the ground rattles. He scans for a second source. Entry, exit, bone. No exit. That means fragments. Sulfa to the edges, dressing cinched until his knuckles pale. The patient moans. That is a good sign. He can still fight. Pain control is a tool, not a comfort. The medic checks pupils, tracks the eyes, confirms there is no head strike, no slow confusion that would warn of a hidden bleed. Morphine syringe comes out. Cap snapped. Needle slid into the thigh above the tourniquet. Dose recorded. The empty syringe pinned to the collar so the next set of hands knows what came before. He steadies the man with words he has said 100 times. Stay with me. Grip my wrist. Count your breaths. The man grips. Shock is the next enemy. The medic pulls a rain cape from his bag, lays it under the casualty, slides a blanket over him, lifts the feet a hand span. Cold steals blood to the core. Cold ends the fight early. He tucks a ration wrapper over a chest graze, occlusive and crude, but enough to stop air from riding the wound. He feels the radial pulse. Weak, fast. He does not waste seconds chasing a number. Fast as shock. Slow as failing. This is fast. Extraction. He calls for 2 men and a stretcher. No sprint. Smooth beats speed. They lift on his count. The tourniquet holds. The dressing holds. The eyes hold on his voice. Down the trench. Across the churned field. Into the cover of a wall. The jeep arrives with a cough and a prayer. The medic loads feet first, secures the stretcher, keeps the knee bent to protect the seal over the wound. He sets a plasma bottle if supply allows, keeps it low and steady so the vein does not blow. He watches the face more than the drip. Color tells the truth. Gray is the slope. The aid post sits behind a hedge and a torn tarpaulin. Light is low. Hands are ready. The medic gives a clean handover in seconds. Tourniquet time. Dressing type. Morphine given. Possible fragments. Pulse fast. Breathing present. Skin cool. The surgeons nod. The patient moves past the curtain. The clock has not stopped, but it now belongs to a team with light, metal, and blood to give. Out in the lane, the medic wipes his hands on a rag that never comes clean, resets the bag, and listens for the next shout. The window remains the same. 35 to 40 minutes. Win them once, and you can win them again. The blast is not the loudest thing. The silence after it is. Dust hangs and the world narrows to a single figure on the ground, a torn sleeve, a dark spray across pale soil. The medic is already moving. He counts before he thinks. 1, 2, 3. He is at the casualty by 4. First sight tells the truth. Arterial bleed, left thigh, high and fast. The clock has started. He drags the man behind a slab of broken wall, knees in the dirt, pack open. No handshake, no comfort. Grip, clamp, pressure. A gloved fist goes into the wound track to find the source, and by seconds. The medic feels the hot pulse against his palm. He does not flinch. A tourniquet snakes out, slides high and tight, as high as it will go. Strap down, twist, creak, more twist, stop when the pulse quits beneath leather and fabric. Time mark, whispered to himself. The first minute is the difference between a story and a name on a board. Breathing next. The man is gasping, pink froth at the lips. The medic tilts the head, sweeps the mouth, checks the chest. No sucking sound, but the right side rises slow. He tears open a field dressing, pads the face clean, sets the jaw forward, keeps the airway open with a steady palm and the angle of a boot heel under the shoulders. He measures his own breath through his nose. Calm as a tool. Round slap into the wall above. Shards rain. The medic talks low and direct, giving tasks the casualty can follow. Squeeze my hand. Look at me. Stay awake. He slides a pressure dressing over the tourniquet, layers it to guard against slippage, writes the time on the man's skin where blood will not wash it away. He resists the reach for morphine. Pain is information. Respirations are shallow, and he will not risk the slow fade. Shock is already creeping in. Skin cool. Eyes wide. The medic unrolls a crinkled blanket from the pack and tucks it around hips and chest, even in the heat, because cold is a thief that works faster than men think. He lifts the feet a little, just enough to feed the brain. He checks mental status again. The answers come clipped but clear. Good for now. He scans the line. No safe path to the aid post yet. He marks the route anyway, debris to debris, shadow to shadow, 6 short bounds. He flags a teammate with a hand signal. Stretcher in 2. He reviews the sequence inside his head. Tourniquet high and tight. Airway maintained. Breathing monitored. Circulation controlled. Hypothermia prevented. Evacuation prepared. Another round of checks. He puts 2 fingers to the carotid. Stronger than a minute ago. He closes the casualty's hand around a bandage and gives a job. Hold this. Pressure. Purpose keeps panic out. The medic draws one breath, then another. The clock is still running, but the bleeding is not. That is victory for this minute. The next minute demands movement. He nods to the teammate. On my count. The wall shakes again, but the path is set, and the man on the ground is still in the fight. Dawn does not break here. It leaks through smoke and frost. A medic crouches in a shell scrape, counting breaths that are not his. The platoon is pinned along a torn hedgerow. The moment the machine gun stutters empty, he moves. Mud takes his knees. Shrapnel ticks off a helmet. He fixes his eyes on the only thing that matters now, a shape in the churned earth that is still trying to breathe. He reaches the casualty and stops the panic with touch. Gloved hand to shoulder. Steady pressure. The ground trembles under another impact, earth spattering like rain. He reads the scene in a heartbeat. Exit wound under the left armpit. Arterial bright, pooling into a trench of boot prints. The clock starts. 35 to 40 minutes, if the numbers are kind. He sweeps the mouth, clears mud and a shard of tooth, lifts the jaw, seals the airway with the practiced tilt that turns choking into breath. The chest pulls air but hisses from the side. He tears the shirt, slaps on a field dressing, vents it with 2 fingers, watches the chest rise less like a drowning man. He pins the dressing with tape that barely sticks to skin packed with cold and soil. The bleeding is a river from the axilla. No tourniquet will bite there. He shoves gauze deep, then deeper, layer on layer, knuckles widening, pressure that is both violent and necessary. He feels the pulse weaken under his fist and holds harder. He talks without drama, simple instructions the casualty can cling to. Stay with me. Breathe with me. Eyes here. He checks for shock. Skin gray, lips blued, pulse quick and thin. He slides a thermal blanket under the back, another over the chest, lifts the legs with one forearm while the other keeps pressure. Cold kills as fast as metal. He tags the casualty. Time of intervention. What he saw? What he did? What still needs doing? Pain slams through the casualty in waves. The medic measures the dose, confirms the name twice, scratches the M on the tag. Morphine is mercy with edges. Give enough to pull a man back from screaming, not enough to push him off the ledge of breathing. He reassesses. Airway holds. Vent seal holding. Packing still taming the red flood. He calls for the stretcher. Extraction begins under a lull that could die at any second. 2 riflemen become bearers. The medic walks backward, eyes locked on lips and chest, counting breaths out loud to sync the team. Incoming rounds stitch the road dust. They angle behind a wrecked truck, drop, hold, then surge to the Jeep. The driver has the engine hot, and the route marked in grease pencil on the windshield. Aid post 3 clicks east, past the orchard, left at the collapsed barn. The Jeep tears through ruts. The medic rides the stretcher rail, one hand on gauze, one hand steadying the jaw. He watches for the telltale of a collapsing lung, for the glaze that means the light is fading, for the slow that is worse than any fast. At the aid station, the canvas flap lifts and daylight becomes a narrow room of cots, iodine, and clipped orders. Triage takes seconds. Chest wound, packed, vented, Morphine tagged, time stamped. He gives the handover in short facts. They move the casualty to a table already warm with someone else's life. Clamp, suction, oxygen mask hissing. The medic steps back, mud freezing on his sleeves, and checks his watch. 37 minutes. The window did not close. Not yet. Outside, the ground shakes again. He reloads his bag with gauze and tape, wipes blood from his wrists, and steps back into the smoke, already scanning for the next breath that needs saving. Wind tears at the grass and dust spirals off the road as the firefight shifts to a dull pulse in the distance. The medic runs low, shoulders tight, counting breaths and steps. Ahead, a shape in the ditch kicks weakly. A boot scrapes gravel. A hand slaps at the air and misses. The clock starts the moment the medic sees the blood fanning from a shredded thigh. Knees hit dirt. Gloves on. Eyes scan. Arterial spray, bright and rhythmic. One wound kills, everything else waits. The medic slides a knee under the limb to lift it clear of the mud. The limb is slick and heavy. The patient tries to rise, fails, and goes slack. The medic speaks in a level tone, short words, steady cadence, anchoring the mind that is slipping into shock. The patient focuses on the voice and blinks once. The tourniquet is out in a second. The strap bites the skin high and tight above the joint. No time for delicate adjustments. The windlass slides into the slot. The medic braces an elbow, locks the wrist, and starts turning. One turn. The bleeding slows but still bubbles dark and hot. 2 turns. The patient grinds teeth without sound. 3 turns. The pulse under the fingers disappears like a switch flipped in a silent room. The medic checks distal pulse. Nothing. That is good. The bleeding stops. Time mark recorded on the card with a blunt pencil. The clock keeps running, but the worst slows. The patient tries to touch the wound. The medic captures the hand and pins it to a chest strap. Stay with me, the voice says without drama. I need you to breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The chest stutters but obeys. The medic scans for a second wound. There is a shallow gash on the forearm, nothing life-threatening. The tourniquet gets a second pass with a quick visual sweep for creep or looseness. It holds. Pain hammers in waves. Morphine is possible, but only after airway and breathing are safe. The medic listens for wet crackles, sees the ribs rise without asymmetry, hears a ragged but open path. No signs of tension building in the chest. The patient is pale and cold. Shock is prowling at the edge. The medic slides a foil blanket under the torso, tucks edges tight, throws a second one over the shoulders. Heat is life. A round cracks the road 50 meters down. The medic angles the body behind the ditch berm, calls for the stretcher team, and reassures the patient with facts. Bleeding is controlled. We are moving soon. You are not alone. The patient nods once, eyes fixed on the medic's face, skin clammy but no longer glassy. A minute later, the stretcher team arrives. The medic guides the lift, protects the tourniquet from snag and shift, and keeps the limb elevated to discourage seepage. The team moves in short bursts, halting to listen, then sliding again across gravel and root. The aid post is a kilometer away, and that is close enough if the bleeding holds. It will hold because the strap is where it must be and the windlass is locked, and the medic felt the pulse fade beneath firm fingers. For now, life stays. The clock keeps ticking, but the red tide has stopped. Wind tears across the churned field and carries dust into every open wound. The medic drops to his knees beside the fallen rifleman. The clock is already running. Blood at the mouth. Chest barely lifts. The face is gray. Airway first, or the next minute is the last. He plants his knees to cage the head from rolling. No head tilt. The shell blast may have snapped the neck. He braces the jaw with both hands and drives the lower mandible forward. Jaw thrust. Teeth part with a gritty click. A wet rasp leaks from the throat, not enough to live on. He sweeps a gloved finger across the mouth. Mud, a chip of tooth, a clot the size of a thumbnail. He hooks it and throws the mess aside. He listens. No real draw of air. A hand pump rides in the pouch. He works the rubber bulb and feeds the thin tube along the cheek. Suction strips blood and saliva in a red ribbon into the reservoir. The tongue slides back again, heavy as lead. He pulls the chin forward and holds it there. Another listen. Still no rise. Time bleeds away. From the kit, he pulls a simple airway, a curved bite piece with a rigid channel. He measures from the corner of the mouth to the angle of the jaw and turns the flange. He slides it in against the palate, rotates, seats it until it rests behind the tongue. The throat shudders. A cough tries to start and dies. He locks the jaw forward again, opens the mouth wide, keeps the tongue from sealing the passage. He seals his hand over the nose, leans low, and watches the chest. A thin lift answers. Not enough. He squeezes the chest lightly to feel recoil. He counts. Short breaths, steady spacing, careful not to flood the lungs. The color warms by a shade. A shell lands far off and showers the crater with dust. He does not look up. Breathing improves, then falters. Shock is creeping in. He checks the neck for swelling, the mouth for new blood. The airway is still seated. He tries another gentle suction pass. He feels the patient gag and sees a breath. Better. He reaches for the blanket and slides it under shoulders to keep the airway angle. He tucks the edges tight. Heat is life. The medic signals the stretcher team, but keeps his hands where they are. He talks steadily, not for comfort, but for rhythm. Breathe in, breathe out. Match the count. Chest rises to the beat and holds it. He watches the pupils. They tighten from plate to coin. He tips the head a fraction without bending the neck and listens at the mouth. The rasp has turned to a thin whistle. That will do for now. He tags the man for urgent move. Airway secured. Breathing present. He tapes the airway in place with a rough cross of fabric and checks the strap under the chin. The stretcher arrives. The medic rides the side, one hand on the jaw thrust, the other on the shoulder to keep alignment. The world narrows to breath counts and the sound of boots. At the aid post, the light is cold and clinical. He reports in clipped lines. Time down. Method used. Response scene. The team takes over. As he steps back, the patient draws a fuller breath and holds it like a small victory. The medic wipes the mud from his gloves, reloads the pump, and runs back into the wind. Another minute is already ticking for someone else. Mud closes over the boots, and the screaming has already faded to a wet hiss. The medic drops to a knee beside the rifleman, sees the pink foam at the lips, and knows time has narrowed. One palm to the sternum, a sweep along the ribs, a hand comes away slick. The breath sounds are wrong on the right side, shallow and ragged, the chest rising like a torn bellows. The medic does not speak. He works. He rips open the tunic, cuts the shirt, and finds the wound high and lateral, a small hole with a big problem behind it. Air is slipping into the chest and failing to escape. Every second the lung collapses a little more, the heart starts to shift, pressure building where it should not. The medic cleans fast, pulls a seal from the kit, and slaps it on, heel of the hand sealing edges against skin and hair. He watches. The next inhale drags. The exhale fights the plastic. The flutter is not enough. Breath is still losing ground. The medic checks the neck for the telltale chords, the trachea for drift, the skin for that crackling feel that means air is marching under the flesh. Decision time. He readies the needle, measures against ribs 2 and 3, finds the mid-clavicular line by touch and habit. He braces the man with his knee, looks for the moment between the shell bursts, and drives the needle in. A rush of trapped air hisses out, hot and furious. The chest rises. The next breath is still shallow, but it is a breath. There is no safety here. The squad throws a smoke screen that barely takes, and the medic cinches a bandage around the seal, anchors the catheter, and signals for the stretcher. The carry is a stumbling dance over roots and shell scoops. With each step, he watches the lips for color and the eyes for fight. He times the breaths against his own. He counts to 4 on the inhale, to 4 on the exhale, steadying the rhythm through example and pressure on the shoulder. Bullets rake the treeline. The bearers duck. The medic does not. He checks again. If the seal fails, the chest will tighten like a fist. If the needle clogs, the hiss will fade. He has learned to listen through gunfire. He cracks the seal edge on exhale, palms down to burp the trapped air, reseals on the inhale. Another breath buys another 10 seconds. 10 seconds by a dozen steps. At the sunken lane, he swaps the stretcher for the jeep. He packs blankets tight to fight the cold that steals blood pressure, wedges a canteen cup under the head to ease the strain. He marks the tag with big block letters, chest wound, needle decompression, watch for recurrence. He keeps a hand on the ribs as the jeep bounces, feeling for the rise and fall, feeling for the stutter that means trouble is back. The aid post is close. but close means nothing without air. The medic leans in and speaks with his hands, tapping to cue inhale, pushing to cue exhale, a metronome made of bone and will. The man follows. The breath holds. The line reels them in. The medic only allows himself to believe when the tent flap opens and a surgeon's hands take over. Until that moment, the rule is simple. Keep the chest alive, one breath at a time, no matter what the ground or the sky decides to do. Morphine rides the edge between relief and silence. The medic knows it. The runner knows it. The man on the ground feels it in the raw electric burn that climbs his thigh and drowns his breath. Mud sticks to the bandage. Metal sings somewhere behind the treeline. The clock does not care. The medic kneels. Gloved fingers check airway, check breathing, check the pulse that flutters like a trapped moth. Blood loss controlled, tourniquet set. He reaches for the morphine syringe from the pouch. Not because pain is an inconvenience, but because pain is a thief. It steals breath, steals focus, steals the will to live. The dose is a tool. It is not comfort. It is not mercy. It is a decision. He looks the casualty in the eyes. Stay awake. Keep looking at me. He says it without spectacle, because words are also a tool. He pinches skin high on the outer thigh, chooses a side away from the wound, and pushes the needle through with calm, even pressure. He empties the syringe, withdraws, checks for bleeding, tucks the spent capsule where it will be found. He marks a bold letter M and the time across the helmet band and again on the casualty tag. Discipline begins with records. No second guessing. No mystery in the aid post. Breathing check. Count to 10, slow and steady. He watches chest rise and fall, listens for the shallow drift that means trouble. Pain eases. The eyes lose their hard edge. The medic does not relax. Morphine does not stop bleeding. Morphine does not fix shock. Morphine can crush a ribcage from the inside if the dose stacks and the lungs forget what to do. He keeps the airway clear, lifts the jaw when the chin sags, measures each breath against the metronome of incoming fire. The runner shifts his grip on the stretcher poles. Can we move? The medic shakes his head once. 2 minutes more. He looks again at the watch. Time since tourniquet. Time since dose. He slides a hand under the jacket, feels skin that is cooling too fast. Hypothermia is a quiet killer. He pulls a shell dressing wrapper over the chest as a wind shield, tucks it tight. He checks pupils. He asks a simple question that demands a sentence for an answer. Name. Unit. The man answers both. Good sign. They move. The world becomes roots, stones, and the weight of a human life. Each stop, the medic repeats the ritual. Airway. Breathing. Pulse. He warns the aid station in his head with every step. 1 dose given. Time marked. Pain present but controlled. If there is a second dose, it will be by order and under eyes that can watch every breath. This is the creed. Pain control without killing. At the jeep, the engine coughs and catches. The medic leans in, face inches from the casualty, counting breaths against engine vibrations. He feels the man's fingers relax around his wrist, not limp, only less clawed by pain. That is the line he wanted. Not silence, not euphoria. Room to live until the light over the aid post door. Discipline holds the door open. Discipline gets him there. Wind cuts through the trees like a blade. The medic drops to a knee beside the casualty. Pale skin, slow blink, lips turning gray. The clock is running long before anyone notices. Not from blood alone. From cold. From shock. Gloves on. Hands sweep for bleeding. Tourniquet is already cranked high and tight. Good. No bright red on the snow. He leans close. Breath is shallow. Words tumble out in fragments that do not make sense. That is the mind slipping under. The medic steadies his voice. Stay with me. Eyes on me. He works while he talks. Airway first. Chin lift. Jaw thrust. The chest lifts a little better. Now the cold. The ground steals heat 10 times faster than the air. He slides the casualty onto a folded poncho liner. Anything to break contact with the earth. A buddy spreads a shelter half. Another buddy rips open a foil blanket. It crackles in the wind. Not enough. Layers are life. Wet shirt cut away. Dry field jacket wrapped tight. Hood overhead. Wool cap under helmet. Armpits and groin padded. Neck sealed. Every gap covered. Shock is a thief. It steals blood flow from the skin and the gut to feed heart and brain. The casualty shakes, then cannot shake. Shivering stops. That is danger. The medic checks the pulse at the wrist. Thread-like. He checks capillary refill. Slow. He marks the time on the back of his glove. He keeps the casualty flat, legs slightly raised if breathing allows. No food. No water. The stomach is asleep in shock. Fluids by mouth can drown the lungs. Pain roars. Pain burns calories. Pain drains heat. The medic weighs the balance. Enough relief to blunt the spiral. Not enough to slow breathing. He watches the chest. He watches the pupils. He watches the clock. Wind finds every seam. He builds a cocoon. Foil inside. Wool outside. Plastic on top to cut the wind. A hot pack wrapped in cloth slides against the armpits. Another near the groin. Never on bare skin. The heart is a stubborn engine, but it hates cold. Warm the core. Warm the blood coming back to it. Breathing hitches. He listens at the ribs. One side rises less than the other. He checks for wounds he might have missed. Nothing open. The cold alone can stiffen muscles and mimic failure. He coaches each inhale. Slow. Deep. Good. Again. He times the rate. It evens out. The litter arrives. The team lifts on command. Smooth. Level. No bouncing that jostles a fragile rhythm. The medic keeps a hand on the carotid. Still there. Stronger now. He slides a dry scarf over the mouth to trap a little warmth with each breath. The aid post is a speck beyond the treeline. The medic walks beside the litter, eyes never leaving the patient. He speaks in a calm drumbeat. You are warm. You are safe. You will make it to the stove and the light. He believes it because belief keeps hands steady. At the door they hand off under lantern glare. Warm room. Warm fluids. Dry blankets. The medic steps back into the wind. Another call comes over the radio. Cold waits in the trees. Shock waits in the blood. The clock always runs. But tonight one man beats it. From the blast crater the world is noise, dust, and hot metal. The medic drops in beside the casualty. He tastes grit. He smells burned soil and cordite. He forces his breath steady. First look. Massive bleeding from the thigh. The clock has already started. Gloves on. Hand to the wound. Packed gauze and deep. The patient writhes. The medic locks eyes with him and anchors his voice. Stay with me. He tightens a tourniquet high and tight. He cranks until the bright flow turns dark and then stops. He marks the time on the patient's sleeve with a pencil. He checks for a second wound. There is a sucking sound at the ribs. He seals it with an occlusive dressing and peels his palm away. The chest rises. Air goes in. Air comes out. For now that is enough. Rounds slap the rim of the crater. Dirt jumps like rain. The team on the ridge lays down suppressive fire. The medic radios one clear sentence. One urgent extraction. Smoke in 30 seconds. He gives a small dose of morphine and pins the tag to the pocket. He checks pupils. He checks radial pulse. It is thready and fast. He adds a thermal blanket under the shoulders. Cold steals blood. Warmth keeps it. Pop of smoke. The wind drifts it low across the ground. Time to move. The medic clips the drag strap to the patient's harness. He signals the helper. On my pull. They roll the casualty onto his side, slide the strap under the back, and lock it. The medic leads with a low crawl, elbows and knees, head down. The helper shields with his body and pushes the legs. The crater lip grabs at boots. They heave and spill over the top. The world opens. The smoke is thin now. Tracers scratch the air. The medic aims for a ditch 12 meters away. He counts each meter. 3, 5, 7. He hears the casualty breathe in short grunts. He calls out distance to keep the rhythm. 9, 11. They drop into the ditch and lie still. The medic checks the tourniquet and tightens one more turn. He listens at the chest. The seal holds. He feels the carotid. Still there. The litter team sprints in with the canvas stretcher. They lock handles. One knee each. Lift on 3. The medic keeps the head in to watch the airway. They move in a short shuffle to keep the patient steady. The truck waits behind a ruined wall. Engine on. Rear gate down. Bullets slap the paneling. The team loads high and fast. The medic climbs in, straps the casualty, opens an airway adjunct, and sets a line. The truck lurches forward. He leans close so the patient can see him. You are moving. You are safe for now. He calls the aid station. Male. Penetrating chest. Tourniquet left thigh. ETA for minutes. He repeats the time. For minutes. He keeps one hand on the seal and one hand on the pulse. The road is broken. The truck jumps. The pulse holds. The minutes pass. The wall of the station rises ahead. He exhales once. Then he is ready to hand over and start the next fight. Engine idles like a growl in the throat of the earth. The stretcher is slid into the rear, canvas straps pulled tight. The wounded man breathes in short, ragged pulls, steam leaving his lips in the cold air. A tourniquet holds. Bandages shine with dark wetness. The medic checks pulse, presses a hand to the sternum, watches the rise, counts the beats, nods once. The driver meets his eyes. Go. The Jeep lunges forward. Mud slaps the fenders. Headlights are killed to a slit, and the world narrows to ruts, hedgerows, and the pale smear of the road ahead. The aid post is 5 minutes away if the road holds, and the enemy is asleep. The engine climbs in pitch as they hit the straight. The medic braces his knees and keeps one hand on the casualty, the other on the canvas bag. Morphine is already given. Airway is clear. Breathing is shallow. Keep him warm. Keep him breathing. Do not let the clock win. A flare blooms behind the trees and turns the night to bone. The driver drops a gear. The Jeep slides, corrects, finds grip. Mortar rounds begin to walk the road, slow, methodical, like a hunter tapping a stick along a fence. The medic covers the patient with a blanket and his own body. The first blast slams the rear panel. Dirt showers their backs. The driver rides the shoulder, straddling the ditch, steering by memory and instinct. The road splits. Left is shorter. Right is less exposed. Left would be suicide. The driver takes right and breathes through his teeth. A downed cart blocks the lane. The driver threads the Jeep into the field, bouncing over furrows. The casualty moans. The medic counts the breaths again. Too slow. He opens the airway, seals a bandage, checks for chest rise. He talks with calm hands, not with words. He warms the patient with his own heat. Shapes move in the tree line. The driver kills speed, then punches through. A burst licks the mud where the Jeep just was. They hit the final incline. At the crest, a shielded lantern glows. A red cross hangs dull in the dark. The driver taps the horn once. Guards wave them through. The aid post is a low farmhouse with sandbags and a door that never closes. The Jeep skids to a stop. Hands lift the stretcher. The medic calls out pulse, respiration, blood loss, drugs given, time of tourniquet. The casualty disappears into yellow light and voices. The engine is still ticking. The driver stares at the empty stretcher. The medic looks at the road back and at the sky that will not brighten. They turn the Jeep around. Another call is already coming in. The Jeep skids to a halt, and the stretcher slides through the flap into the aid station. Cold light. Packed earth. The clock is already running. A medic at the door shouts for silence and air to move. Bodies weighed on canvas cots. Faces gray. Eyes fixed on the ceiling like maps of somewhere else. A sergeant with a red cross on his sleeve steps forward. He does not ask for names. He asks for life. Airway first. He kneels, tilts the jaw, sweeps mud and blood with 2 fingers. A breath returns, thin and rattling. If breath fails, nothing else matters. He marks the man as immediate with a strip of cloth and moves. Next is breathing. The chest rises unevenly. The sergeant presses a hand to the ribs and feels the edge grind. He listens, the way a hunter listens to the wind. One side expands, the other is quiet. He vents the pressure with the kit that never seems enough. When the air returns, the man coughs and turns his head. The clock buys another minute. Bleeding. A corporal tightens the tourniquet that was slapped on in the crater. The limb is pale and still. Dark blood has slowed to a stubborn ooze. Packing, pressure, bandage, knot. Secure. The cots beside them hold men who can wait. A hand on a shoulder, a quick word, a canteen cap lifted to cracked lips. Delayed. Minimal. They live in the margins of the chart, and they will get their turn. Across the room, a boy stares without blinking. His belly is hard and swollen. No scream, only a long animal sigh. Internal bleeding is a thief that does not show its hands. The sergeant marks him immediate and signals the drivers. He will go out on the next Jeep, whether the road is quiet or not. Another man reaches for the medic with a pleading grip. The wound is catastrophic, the pulse a thin thread that keeps slipping away. Morphine comes, not as mercy alone, but as control. Warmth, blanket, guarded breathing. The tag reads expectant. The sergeant hates that word. He says it only once inside his head, then moves on because the living need him. Shock creeps like frost. They fight it with heat from stoves, with raised legs, with steady voices that promise the next ride is minutes away. Blood is scarce. Plasma is thin hope in a bottle. Every decision is a trade. Every trade is a life. The door bangs. Engines rev immediate to the trucks, delayed to the benches. Minimal carry litters and hold the flap. The sergeant walks the line one last time. Airway, breathing, bleeding, mind steady, hands fast. He signs the tags with a blunt pencil and sends them into the dark, already turning back to the next stretcher, the next chance to steal another minute from death. Debrief. The field has gone quiet except for distant engines and the slow drip of rain off canvas. We lay out the timeline and strip it of comfort, because comfort does not save lives. At minute 0, the round tears open the thigh. Arterial bright. You see the jet, not a pool. You reach the casualty in 14 seconds. That speed matters. The first grip on the femoral does not. What saves him is the tourniquet 2 inches above the wound, turned until the pulse vanishes under your fingers. You lock it. You mark the time. He keeps his blood. Airway next. He is choking on mud and fear. No grand speeches. Chin lift. Finger sweep. You roll him, clear the mouth, maintain manual stabilization. What saves him is not a perfect maneuver, but relentless basics done correctly and done fast. He breathes, ragged but effective. Breathing fails again when the left chest bulges. Ventilation is shallow. The trachea tugs slightly. Breath sounds asymmetric. You slap a seal over the sucking wound. It is not theatrical. It is adhesive and pressure and observation. The seal buys time. The needle in the second intercostal space would have done the same if the chest had fully collapsed. You checked. You did not waste a needle. That restraint saves others later and does not harm him now. Pain control follows. Morphine is a tool, not a trophy. You dose for relief while guarding the airway. You document. You reassess pupils. You keep him responsive. He stays with you instead of sliding into a quiet, fatal sleep. You do not numb his body at the cost of his breath. Shock stalks him from the first minute. You fight it with warmth and position. Foil blanket. Dry layers. You do not pour fluid blindly that would dilute clot. You elevate the legs slightly, keep the core insulated, keep the mind engaged with simple tasks. You ask his name, his unit, the color of the stretcher. He answers. That is circulation you can hear. Extraction is ugly. Fire resumes for half a minute and the world shrinks to the length of a ditch. You choose the long route behind the hedgerow instead of the straight run across gravel. That choice saves him. The straight run would have saved a minute and maybe cost all of them. The Jeep ride is punishing. Every bump is blood pressure leaving his body. You reassess the tourniquet. Still no distal pulse. Good. You check the seal. Still intact. Good. You check capillary refill. 2 seconds. You keep talking. He keeps answering. At the aid post, the surgeon reads your notes like a map. Time on tourniquet. Time of pain control. Findings. Interventions. That paper trail is a lifeline. What did not save him today? Luck did not. Hero speeches did not. The first tourniquet attempt that slipped under sweat did not. The moment you almost loosened it to relieve pain would not have. The shortcut across open ground would not have. The extra minute spent hunting for a perfect device would not have. What saved him? Seconds. Fundamentals. Documentation. Discipline. A team that moved like parts of one machine. He will keep the leg because the tourniquet went on high and went on early. He will keep his breath because simple airway care came first and chest sealing came fast. He will keep his mind because the pain was managed without surrendering respiration. He will keep his life because you did not try to be dramatic. You stayed precise.